Kindness of a stranger. My day always begins in the same way. Before the sun is up, I start work on a small business that I built all by myself. The work is very hard, and most days I feel like giving up. My office is a small room in my apartment, and it's lonely. I spend my days making phone calls and sending lots of emails. Most of the time, the answer I get back is a simple no. The walk to my office is just a walk to the next room, but every morning I make myself go outside for a short walk. I need the fresh air to clear my head before the long day. My walk always takes me down the same quiet little street, and on that street there is a small bakery with a green door. It's the best part of my morning walk. A small island of warmth. The smell of fresh bread from the bakery fills the morning air. It's a warm and comforting smell that makes me feel better. It smells like hope and like the start of a brand new day. And every single morning the baker is standing at the door. He's an old man with kind eyes and lots of white hair. He always has a little bit of white flour on his big apron. He's always there, like a statue, welcoming the new day. He smiles at everyone who walks by his little bakery. His smile is real, and it's as warm as his fresh bread. Our interaction is always very short, and always the same. I walk by and he catches my eye and gives me a big smile. Then he says the words that have become my morning fuel. He says, "Good luck today, young man," in his cheerful voice. Then he gives me a small nod and goes back to his work. The whole thing takes about 5 seconds, but it's so important. I don't know why his simple words have so much power, but they feel like a small push on my back, a wave of energy. They make me feel like maybe today will be a different day. I take those words with me back to my small, quiet office. They are my shield against all the rejection I have to face. They are a little light in the darkness of my hard struggle. My business is still new, and I'm trying to find some clients. It's very hard to compete with all the bigger companies. Most days I feel invisible, like nobody sees me. I work many hours, but I don't make much money yet. My savings are getting smaller every week. A small voice in my head tells me I should just quit. That voice of doubt is very loud, especially in the mornings. It tells me I'm a failure, and that my dream is foolish. It makes it very hard to get out of bed some days. But then I remember my walk and the old baker's kind smile. I remember his words, "Good luck today, young man." And that memory gives me the strength to get up and try again. His small act of kindness is a very big thing in my life. He doesn't know me, and he doesn't know about my struggle. But his daily encouragement is like a lifeline to me now. One week was especially hard, the worst week I ever had. I lost 2 potential clients I thought were a sure thing. My bank account was almost empty, and so was my hope. I felt like a complete failure, a man who had lost his way. I thought about closing my business and finding a regular job. The voice of doubt in my head was shouting louder than ever. The next morning, I didn't want to go on my usual walk. I didn't want to see the baker and his kind, happy smile. I felt like a fraud because I was having no good luck at all. I thought about taking a different street to avoid the bakery, but my feet took me on the same path. They knew the way. I walked with my head down. I didn't want to look at him. But as I passed the bakery, I heard his familiar, cheerful voice. "Good luck today, young man. Today is a very good day." I looked up, and he gave me an even bigger smile than usual. His words and his confident smile broke something inside of me. I felt a tiny spark of hope that I thought was gone forever. Maybe he was right. Maybe today would be a different day. I went back to my office with a new energy in my heart. I decided I would not give up. I would try one more time. I would give it everything I had for one more final push. There was one big company I was always afraid to contact. They were the biggest in the city, and I felt too small for them. But the baker's words made me feel a little braver. I spent the entire day working on a new, bold proposal. I didn't think about my fear or the possibility of a no. I only thought about doing the best work I could do. I put all my heart and soul into that new proposal. I checked every word and every number to make it perfect. When I was done, I sent the email with a trembling hand. After sending it, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't felt in a long time. I didn't know if they would say yes, but I was proud of myself. I was proud because I had tried. I didn't give up. The next few days were a long and very quiet waiting game. Every time my phone made a sound, my heart would jump. But there was no news from the big company, only silence. I continued my morning walks past the small, warm bakery, and every day the old baker gave me my daily dose of courage. "Good luck today, young man," he would say with his great smile. His simple routine was the only thing that felt steady in my life. He was my rock in the middle of a very stormy sea. His kindness was a lighthouse, showing me the way to go. I started to feel a real connection to this man I didn't even know. I wanted to thank him for what he was doing for me. I wanted to tell him how much his simple words meant. I decided that one day, when I had some good news to share, I would go into his bakery and I would finally talk to him. I would buy some bread and I would tell him my whole story. That thought gave me even more strength to keep going. I wasn't just fighting for my dream. I was fighting for him, too. I wanted to prove to him that his good luck wishes had worked. Then, one Thursday morning, something was very, very different. As I walked down the quiet street, I didn't smell the bread. The air was empty and the usual warmth was missing. I walked closer to the bakery, and my heart started to beat faster. The lights inside the shop were all turned off. It was dark. The green door was closed and a small sign was hanging on it. The sign was a simple one. It just said the word, "Closed." I had never seen that sign on his door on a weekday before. He was always open, from early morning until evening. A feeling of panic started to rise in my chest. Where was he? Was he sick? Was everything okay? My morning routine was broken, and my whole day felt wrong. The street felt colder now without the baker's warm presence. I realized how much I depended on our small daily interaction. He was a bigger part of my life than I had ever known. I stood in front of the dark bakery for a few minutes. I was hoping to see a light turn on or the door open, but nothing happened. The bakery remained completely silent. I felt a real sense of loss, a hole in my morning. It was like the sun had forgotten to rise in the sky. My daily dose of courage wasn't there when I needed it. I was about to turn around and go back to my apartment. I felt defeated, not just for my business, but for the baker. I was so worried about this kind man that I didn't even know. But then I saw something else that I hadn't noticed before. Taped to the glass of the door, under the closed sign, there was a smaller piece of paper, a handwritten note. My heart started to beat even faster with a sense of dread. Was this bad news? Was he sick? Or had something worse happened? I walked slowly to the door to read the small white note. The handwriting was old and a little shaky, but it was clear. It wasn't a long note. It only had a few simple words. But those words made my blood run cold. I read the note once, then I read it again. I couldn't believe what it said. I couldn't understand it. It felt like the ground was shifting beneath my feet. The note wasn't about being sick or going on vacation. It was a message that was much more permanent and so much sadder. It was a goodbye to the bakery and to the whole street. I leaned against the cold glass of the window for support. I wasn't thinking about my business or my proposal anymore. My only thought was for the old man with the kind smile, the man who had given me so much without asking for anything, the man who had been my silent partner in my lonely struggle, and now it seemed that he was in some kind of trouble. I looked at the note again, my mind racing with questions. What did it mean? Where had he gone? And why did he leave? I had to find out. I had to understand what had happened. The handwritten note was very short and very simple. It said, "Thank you for all the wonderful years of my life. This bakery is now closed forever. Goodbye and good luck." My heart sank into my stomach when I read those sad words. He was gone, and he was not coming back to his small bakery. The kind man who had given me so much hope had lost his own. I couldn't just walk away and go back to my own problems. I felt a strong need to do something, to find out what happened. I owed him that much, for all the mornings he had saved me. I went to the small flower shop next to the bakery. I asked the woman inside if she knew what happened to the baker. Her face became very sad when I asked about him. She told me his name was Mr. Adam and he was a good man, but he had been struggling with money for a long time. The rent for his small shop was too high, and he couldn't pay. He couldn't compete with the big supermarkets in the city. People wanted cheaper bread, not the quality bread he made. He had to close the shop he had run for more than 50 years. The woman told me he was heartbroken to leave his bakery. It was his life, his passion, and his only real home. She gave me his home address, just a few streets away. I thanked her and left the shop with a very heavy heart. The man who gave me so much encouragement was fighting a battle. He was fighting it alone, in silence, with a kind smile. As I was walking, my phone vibrated in my pocket. I looked at the screen and saw an email from the big company. My hands were shaking as I opened it to read the words. The email was short, and it was the best news of my life. They told me they loved my proposal for the new project. They wanted to meet with me the very next day. This was it, my big break, the moment I had worked for. My dream was finally coming true. I was going to be successful. I should have been shouting with joy. but I felt no happiness. My success felt connected to the baker and his sad story. His kindness had given me the strength to get this contract. How could I celebrate my victory when he had lost his war? I knew what I had to do in that moment. It was very clear. My business success was not just for me, it was for him too. I made a new plan, a much better plan for my future. I walked to the address the woman had given me earlier. It was a small apartment building that looked very old and tired. I found Mr. Adams' name on a mailbox and I went upstairs. I knocked on his door and I heard a soft voice say, "Come in." I opened the door and saw him sitting in a dark room. He was a shadow of the cheerful man I saw every morning. He looked so sad, so defeated. It broke my heart to see. I introduced myself and I told him I was the young man, the one who walked past his bakery every single morning. A little light of recognition came into his very sad eyes. I told him I had read the note, and I was so sorry to hear. Then I told him my story, my struggle with my small business. I told him how much his daily encouragement had meant to me. I said his simple words were the fuel that kept my dream alive. I told him he was a partner in my success. He was my hero. He was completely shocked to hear this. He had no idea. He said he just liked to wish people good luck for the day. He didn't know his small kindness could have such a big impact. Tears filled his old eyes as he listened to my story. Then I told him about my new contract with the big company. And I told him about my new plan, the plan that included him. I said I wanted to be his new business partner in the shop. I would invest my first earnings to help him reopen the bakery. I would use my business skills to help him with marketing. He looked at me with disbelief. He thought I was joking, but I told him I was serious. This was not charity at all. It was a good business investment in a great man and his bread. I told him the world needed his bread and his kind smile. We could make the bakery successful together as a new team. We could combine his passion with my new business knowledge. He started to cry, but this time they were tears of new hope. We talked for hours that day and made a solid plan. A new partnership was formed between the old baker and me. We reopened the bakery a few weeks after that conversation. We gave it a new name. We called it the Good Luck Bakery. The green door was open again, and the smell of bread returned. My own business became very successful with the new contract. But my favorite project was always our small and warm bakery. I loved working with Mr. Adam, my mentor and my dear friend. We became a great team, and the bakery was very popular. People loved our story, and they loved our honest, good bread. We proved that quality and kindness are good for business. Now my life is very different from those old, lonely days. I am a successful man, but not just because of the money. My success is measured by the joy I see in Mr. Adams' eyes. Sometimes, in the early mornings, I stand at the bakery door. I look at the people walking by on their way to their day. I see the same worry and fear that I once had in my eyes, and I try to catch their eye, just like he did with me. I give them a big, warm smile from the bottom of my heart. I want to pass on the gift that he once gave to me. Just this morning, A young woman was walking past the shop. She looked so tired and so worried, like the world was sitting on her shoulders. I smiled at her, and I said the words I knew so well. "Good luck today, young lady. Today is a good day." A look of surprise came to her face, then a small, hopeful smile. She walked away with a little more light in her step. Mr. Adams saw me and put his hand on my shoulder. He said, "You learned the most important lesson of all, my boy." And I knew that he was right. I finally understood it. True success is not just about building your own dreams. It's about helping other people build theirs, too. It's about passing on the kindness that you've received. The best way to say thank you is to pay the kindness forward, to be a small light for someone walking in the dark, to give a little hope when the world gives you none at all. I'm still a businessman, but I'm also a part-time baker. And every morning I get to share the bread and the good luck. I get to be the man who gives people their morning fuel. My life is full of joy now, and my heart is never lonely. And it all started with a simple smile and 4 small words. It all started with the kindness of a stranger, an old baker. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a little hope today. Subscribe for more stories that remind you kindness still matters.